Hi, welcome to Cryptid Wilderness Research. I am CWR team member Daniel Becker here in Alaska. Joining me, as always, my fellow host from Quincy, Washington, Matt Slater.
Hello.
Hey.
Joining us tonight, CWR team member, researcher consultant, author, documentary star, and all-around great guy, William Lunsford from the state of Arkansas. Welcome, William.
Thank you. I am glad to be here with you guys. Better known tonight as the Great Pumpkin in this classy looking shirt here. As you notice,
Yeah, we do. We're sporting it
right there. So
We're
glad to be
sporting
with y'all and
it.
glad to be with whoever's listening.
William, what we wanted to talk to you tonight about is the state of Arkansas and Bigfoot in Arkansas. So let me start it off with this question. You know, Arkansas is a hotbed for Bigfoot activity. And what I would like to know, and some of our viewers would like to know, is what is the history of Bigfoot in the state of Arkansas?
Well, folks, I'll tell you, the Bigfoot in Arkansas has been going on a lot longer than what people have ever thought about. The whole history of Bigfoot is, everybody tends to think it started in 1967 out in California at Bluff Creek with with Patty and the Patterson Gimlin video. But if you really look back through history through there, and I have, because I want to know, I think if you don't know your history, you're either doomed to repeat it or you're missing certain facts that could actually help to bring the facts to other people so they can have their own sightings or it can benefit your research. The history of Bigfoot in Arkansas actually started, believe it or not, before the Civil War. The Civil War went down through there, and before Arkansas became a state, in 1836, 1834, we're having Bigfoot sightings over there on the eastern side of Arkansas, not too far from Memphis. And it tends to come westward there and then ends up with going down south at that time, then to around the Red River region down here, pretty close to where I'm at. And they had something called the Wild Man of the Woods. And there's some stories in there. If you're really interested, there's really some good stories there on the internet. It'll tell you some of the things that they found there. They actually had the world's very first Bigfoot hunt occurred about, I think it's about 1851 or 1856, going to look for this same Bigfoot. So then it went up into the Ouachita Mountains. We had a case there of this one here of this Arkansas wild man where some guys were trying to catch it. And so one guy had some dogs actually chased across a frozen pond. Guy thought it was going to be a good idea to try to go catch it by himself. Well, it wasn't quite such a good idea because that Bigfoot snatched him off that horse, bit him in the shoulder, gouged out one of his eyes, tore out one of his other eyes so bad that they thought his sighting might not ever come back. The thing took his horse, ripped off the saddle, just jumped across bareback like that, stood up, and then rode off into the mountains. Coincidentally, here comes a party of Choctaw Indians. And so they try to give chase to the creature. It goes on into the woods, and then the horses, from what I remember, and just through the scuttlebutt, I don't think it's actually documented for sure, but they said they found the horse in the woods, but whatever the thing was gone. Now, like I said, that right there is all going on there through about 1856. Like I said, before Arkansas was a state, but around the 1851s, that if y'all can know who was our president back then, Abraham Lincoln. So that's been going on since the days of Abraham Lincoln. How long it's been going in Arkansas. And then again, when we have that sighting there, again, along the Red River here, pretty close to where I live, down around Louisiana, they see the creature. And then in 1908, another creature popped his head up, and it's one that I'm very familiar with. And I get lucky enough to see maybe about, most of the time it's if I'm out in the woods about once a year, but sometimes it's once every 2 years, depending on how much time. And it's a creature called the Fouke monster. And the Fouke monster was very famous. It's been going around, like I said, since 1908. It's not since 1971 of the movie. It's actually predates Patty of California fame right there. And Patty is probably the most famous creature that we know about. But also, if you get in here and you look at the Fouke monster, it's the second most famous Bigfoot in America. But he's been around longer. It's the cool thing about this is this creature is still being seen, even as lately as April the 23rd, 2024, by this fat boy sitting in front of y'all's camera right here. And I actually saw him on the way. Coincidentally, I was on the way down to Monster Mart, going to be there for the Fouke Monster Conference. And so the owner of Monster Mart, Mr. Roberts, was going to donate me some room there in his store to sell my books and things like that, and to help him around the store. So I was on the way down there, and sure enough, I look over to the right, and it just started to rain there, but it was raining pretty good. as I had slowed down there and the road was starting to pond, I looked over there on one of the trails I found years ago. That was one of the original Fouke monster trails. There's one standing there right there, about an 8-footer, big black one, just like century-like, just like, I dare you to come in these woods. So by the time I got turned around, there's a guy behind me pulling a trailer with a truck. I tried to brake and he just nearly ran into me, so I had to speed up again. I got up there and had to double back. And of course, by the time I doubled back, we all know what happens. He was already gone. Well, Fouke monster is no fool. No kind of Bigfoot is any kind of fool at all. Very, very smart. So anyway, I told the man, Denny Roberts, about it there at Monster Mart, and we could but just smile because Denny had his own sighting about 2 years ago. And his brother picked up a great audio about 4 years ago, something like that. So, but everyday people down there at Fouke, Arkansas, town about 800, I think 896, something like that, and having sightings. And as far as 20 miles away here into Texarkana, a young man that I've been working with for about the last year and a half, because he's got Bigfoot on his property, and they're coming up slapping his house, and they're coming up, scaring his dogs and scaring his wife. And so we went down there and looked around, and sure enough, he put him some game cameras out. Pretty soon he's getting the eye shine out there, the Bigfoot underneath the cameras that he can see. But again, just basically terrorizing just because of the fact that it exists. What we don't recognize as exists, we tend to call monsters. Well, this one right here so far has not tried to hurt him that we know about or anything. But the cool thing about it, from where I used to live and had some of my first encounters down there and first audio hearings down there, that's about 5 miles up the very same road from where I used to live, on a place called the South State Line. So the history of Arkansas Bigfoot is really there, and it's really real. I've often told everybody, and I'm going to say it again, Bigfoot is real, folks. Don't kid yourself. And there's more than one, and they tend to reside where I live right here, Texarkana, which is down here. It's in the southwest corner of Arkansas. Most of this terrain down here is a lot of forest. It's a lot of swamps, a lot of rivers, a lot of mosquitoes to go with those forests and those swamps and rivers. And then the other part there tends to be like a mountainous range. It goes up. We got 3 mountain ranges. We got the Boston Mountains. We got the Ouachitas and the Ozarks. And as Daniel can tell you about the Ouachitas, he's been with me there into the Ouachitas. The Ouachita is full of them. We had about his first time down here. And then his second time down here, he gets a picture. And then his third time down here, he gets pictures. And then we got pictures not too long ago that I think he'd even forgotten he had on his camera. And look, and there's like 7 or 8 Bigfoot in the woods. You saw him, matter of fact, standing there right in front of me. And the cool part about it is I'm not dressed in camouflage. I've not got the camouflage hat on. I'm dressed with a bright chartreuse shirt on, the fluorescent chartreuse shirt, and I've got a 45-70 rifle in my arm, and the Bigfoot are sitting there looking at me. So it's really cool. It kind of dispels some of the myths that people put out there. Oh, you got to be so sneaky. No, they're just as interested in us as a rule as we are. And as long as you're not going to try to hurt them or anything else like that, they'll try to sneak up on you. They'll mess with you. They'll throw sticks. They'll throw rocks. They'll take big giant boulders and put them in front of your truck when you're leaving an area of woods, just so that you'll know that they've been there, won't they, Daniel? So he and I were down there 2 years ago. We get ready to leave, and I'm like, Daniel, look here in the road. You could see the road was flat. It was not dug up. Something had reached down into the dirt just with its fingers and lifted it up and put it in front of my truck. So I would have to drive around it to basically acknowledge that the creature had been there, or the being had been there. It wasn't 20 minutes before that we had one where Daniel's down there taking a picture, and he's standing behind me. He got treated by some hogs that morning, so he didn't want to have a second dose of that kind of good fun. So he's standing behind me, and I generally carry the gun. I let him take the phone. Daniel's a great photographer with that phone. So as we're down there and we're looking into the woods there, and Daniel stops, said, just take some pictures, Daniel, while we're waiting, because we're listening. We know they're there. We haven't had somebody with us that is just what they call it, a sensitive, she had actually acknowledged that you guys have Bigfoot and a rattlesnake up there right around you, So I don't know if I was more worried about the rattlesnake than the Bigfoot, but we're hearing the Bigfoot. And so I'm not paying as much attention to them, but I'm sitting here looking to the woods. And again, I've got my trusty 45-70. Daniel's taking pictures. And as we get ready to leave, the sound kind of stops. I said, well, Daniel said, we get anything on the pictures yet? He takes a look, and there's a Bigfoot standing about 40 yards in front of me. And there's a tree, and the Bigfoot's leaning out behind the tree. Again, I've got the 45-70 dressed in the chartreuse. And I mean, there's a saying that my old football coach had, the big eye don't lie. Well, it's not. And you can see him sitting there. Everybody that I've showed that picture to, that's the first thing they find is seeing it. And that's, again, in the Ouachita Mountains. So Arkansas has really got it with all there's you take, for instance, there, Highway 71 in Arkansas. It picks up at the Louisiana line coming out of Louisiana and runs 310 miles all the way to the state line of Missouri. Along that line, if you take and look and do the mathematics on how many Sasquatch sightings there have been along there, there's a Sasquatch sighting every 8.3 miles that we know about. Now, man, that's a lot of Bigfoot for 310 miles. And so that just shows how popular. And then you get on to Missouri. Missouri, boy, I've got some friends that are researchers in Missouri. Great researchers. Another reason why, because they have a lot of Bigfoot there in Missouri as well. Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, what we call the 4 states area. And then, like I said, when you get in there, Oklahoma is just crazy as well. Y'all have heard some of the friends that we've had here on the show before here. They live in Oklahoma, man, just as as truthful and good researchers they have sightings. But people say, oh, well, how come we're not hearing as much about it? Because it's a way of life with these people. It's not as big a deal as it is, say, to say to somebody who's from the city who's read about them, and all of a sudden they see it and they get that aha moment. And I'm glad they have that aha moment. But the Bigfoot are here, folks, and they've been seen in every state that I know of, but Hawaii. If you've been to Hawaii, you know that all the wildlife that is there in Hawaii was brought in by the Regals there to bring people in to hunt into Hawaii, like hogs and everything else. But it doesn't have any natural wildlife because it's made of volcanic ash there. So when you got 49 states that are claiming Bigfoot, plus Canada, look at the provinces up in Canada, just right there on our board. Even in Mexico down there, more so in the mountains than otherwise. But what you have here in Arkansas is very, very Bigfoot rich. And oh gosh, man, I'm telling you, I've seen probably now. I've seen, truthfully, and Daniel will back this up. I've got the pictures because I'm kind of like the people on that Crocodile Dundee show when they're sitting there following him around. The bandits fixing to rob him. They're taking pictures, and so he goes, "You know what that is? That Clint Eastwood." Funny, but a true story there. So I take pictures everywhere I go. That cell phone is one of my best friends. That doesn't always take the best pictures, but a little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing. When you can get it, at least when you look at you, okay, he's here. Now I can fine tune my cell phone or my game camera pictures. So fine tune them, put them in a better area. I'll know where, to do some baiting if I want to, or just to sit and listen. And so it really helps, even that little bit of sometimes if the evidence is kind of blurred or whatever. So again, Arkansas is Bigfoot rich. There was a saying on the movie Legend Boggy Creek. They always follow the creeks, and they do. If you've got rivers right here around my house, we got 13 rivers within 60 miles. Me and Daniel went to a guy's place up there in April. Up there, he'd had a Bigfoot kill a deer in his front yard. Right there, and it's right here. Hey, you can take a run and jump and land into the shallow water there. The river's by his house. And then we got to go out and listen to some stuff that night. And he's had quite a bit of activity. He's got 3 footprints that are actually, he's built a little glass cases for great footprints. We talked to some other men up there, and it was just, man, it was just really, really. So I get calls. Truly, I get about a good week is 2 a week. Sometimes more than that, sometimes less. But man, I'm so grateful for that because I said the people are having the sightings. They're here and they're still being seen in Arkansas. And the first thing they say, man, you're not going to believe this, but well, you called the wrong guy then, because I'm going to believe it because I know what's out there, and the stories they tell. It's just very, very interesting. Again, it's intriguing because of the experiences that I've had down here, and I try to follow up on all those because it's one of those things. Hopefully, we're going to get this thing classified one of these days. But as I said, our buddy sitting there, Daniel's gotten several pictures of him, and he's got that intuition. Even got pictures of one where he sends the pictures to a photographer there in Anchorage, and she's got the laser outliner there. And while we're standing there in the woods, or not the woods, but actually the clear cut right there waiting, and this thing comes back and she sends him a laser drawn picture of this Bigfoot standing over in the tree that we know is standing there, because we couldn't see him at first, but we could hear some of the noises. So Daniel said, just take us some grid pictures, and so he did, and the rest is history. So it's really a fun thing. But the history of Bigfoot in Arkansas, it's real, and it's still going on. Most females that you find down here in Arkansas, they'll have twins. Man, when you've got that kind of deal, when you're doubling your population, quote, double your population every time they're down here, then it's not going to take too long for it to catch up. And it's coming up. They've got plenty of food down here, and you got lots of farmland. They can, as far as even if they don't have to kill their own food, there's a lot. I found a big trail one time going down there in a little town called Blevins, Arkansas. Bigfoot had made a trail going through there, and the guy who owned it came up to me there. I was sitting on the side of the road. He drives up there, and he just knew me by face, and just me coming to his house. He goes, "You admire my corn?" And I said, yeah, I'm admiring that big old trail you got going across that corn too. I said, I don't remember that being there. He goes, yeah, I know. He said, heard something down here last night doing some bellering. Thought one of my bulls might have got out. And I said, well, did one of your bulls got out? And he goes, nope. And he wouldn't say anything more, and he drove off. Well, I knew what he was talking about, but I looked over there, and coming off the road, there's a trail coming in where he's got all the trees, snapped up anywhere from 7 to 9 foot, something like that. So again, they're here, and they're not afraid to come into the city limits or come real close to the city limits. Before I ever married my wife, about 3 miles out of town, going towards a little place called El Dorado, totally Fouke to the south, the Ouachita Mountains to the north, and then going to the east towards El Dorado, Arkansas, and towards Mississippi. And one lady out there where Cindy's folks were building a house, actually the lady has a Bigfoot sighting right there. She's got her garden party, and she's looking. Here comes the Sasquatch, decided he's going to crash the party. Walks over there, and he's sitting looking at her, and she's trying to keep everybody's attention. Thank goodness she had all the chairs turned the other way that they couldn't. So she very wisely tries to keep their attention. She does. Things steps over a 4-strand barbed wire fence, crosses the road there in Wood Road, and goes on to what would soon become my in-laws' home property there. They already held the property, but they were building the house over there. So really, really cool. And folks, these are real stories. There's more there than I can tell you. I had to swear. Some folks had to swear me to secrecy. Man, I had to bite my tongue, and to do that right there, because they're really good stories, but you can't break trust. Somebody asks you not to say something, you just can't say anything like that. And be great stories, and then but the thing is, they don't want the ridicule. Again, you've heard me say about my 15 minutes of fame, probably that right there. 12 of those 15 minutes is ridicule. A lot of folks don't want to deal with it. They don't have as tough a skin as what I've got. But again, we're very, very fortunate. And like I said, I'm good friends with a man down here that played the creature in the movie, Keith Crabtree, the real legend of Boggy Creek. And Keith got to talk to the man the other day down around what's called the Cersei place that was seen in the movie. And the man told him, he said, Keith, he said, believe it or not, I believe the original Bigfoot from that movie is still here. That was shot in 1971 to 72. He said he saw him. He said the mannerisms are the same, the size are the same. But the only thing that's changing is maybe the color. Things starting to get like old Will here, getting a little bit gray in through there. So when you got stories like that keep on going, it's really, really interesting. And it's going to be the same where most everybody lives. All you got to do is just do a little research, get on there and take advantage of some of these websites that people have that they put up there, like in the programs that y'all have. Hey, contact you guys. Hey, Daniel, Matt, have y'all heard of any sightings around there? Like, and I know you're going to tell them for free. It's it's going to be something that they get. It's all going to benefit all of us as long as they're truthful about it. So law enforcement has seen them. Again, I told y'all not too long ago, I talked to the sheriff down here that was the sheriff of Miller County in Fouke, Arkansas. Good friend of mine, and my father-in-law, actually one of my father-in-law's classmates when he graduated. Had about a 3.5-hour interview with him. He said, man, the thing that made me know even though I had never seen him, he said the things that made me know they're true was the number of people coming in from out of state, had never been here, never heard of the legend of Boggy Creek or the creature of Bigfoot down there. He said, and they called the Miller County Sheriff's Office and, hey, man, we just saw something. We don't know what it is. A big old hairy animal just crossed the road on us. So that's about the history. But the thing is, the history of Arkansas is still being written. I promise you that. Like I said, I wasn't expecting anything on April the 23rd this year. Just go down there and set my stuff up and get ready for the Fat Monster Conference and to talk to people about Bigfoot, sell some T-shirts, and do my book. And when that happened right there, man, it's just something that I'll always remember, because I wanted to stop. And if it wouldn't be for the guy behind me traveling so fast, I'd have been on the side of the road so quick, man, the highway would have curled up behind my brakes, but it didn't get to work out that way. But I'm not expecting that to be my last sighting either. So again, that's the history of Bigfoot in Arkansas, all around here, around mid-America. It didn't start in California, folks. It started the very first one, 1721, Natchez, Mississippi, down there. And then it goes, I think, to 1818 up there in I think it's Exeter, Maine. I believe it's Exeter, Maine, or Ellisburg, New York is the second one. Then we go to Millsville, Georgia, 1829. And then we go to Arkansas, 1834. In Arkansas, it's still been there. I don't know what the history is, but I know that a lot of people still call it the hairy man or the wild man. And, I think I call mine the Fouke monster down here. But it's real. and I'll be glad to keep you guys posted on anything that I hear, anything that I see. That's the cool part, getting to share with people. And when they tell you about their aha moments, some people call it coming to Jesus moment. Well, once they do that right there, they realize, hey, I don't want to be out in that woods without him. So they call it their come to Jesus moment, and it really excites me for them to do that. So that's just a short history right there, and I'm glad to be able to share that with you guys. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, man. Anytime y'all want to have something, want to ask me, be glad to. I'm just a phone call away, and if you can't get me, Daniel knows my wife's phone number too. They talk about it as much as I do. So yeah. My wife is a very good researcher as well. So like I said, they can get me, and we can get on here in a heartbeat. We can further up with whatever you guys want to know that I know about. And if not, I have some contact with some other real good Bigfoot research. Very glad to have them guys as my friend. Guys that you guys have seen on TV that, boy, have got just reputations and resumes on mile long. And if I don't know it, I can try to get in touch with them, and we'll see if we can't find something out for everybody here. So I'm always glad to be with y'all. Thank y'all for this opportunity, man, to do this right here. Really enjoy doing this. So like I said, if y'all have something else, man, shoot away, because here I am.
William Lunsford, author and researcher, author of the book Searching for the Unfindable: My Quest for the Arkansas Bigfoot. Thank you for joining us for part one of our question and answer, and answering that question about Arkansas, which I've always wondered about. And for part two, we're going to do something a little different. If you have a question that you'd like to ask researcher William Lunsford, email your questions to cryptidwr@gmail.com. Title it Question for Will, and we'll make sure he gets it and he answers it on the air.
And I generally try to answer everybody that sends it. So, how much time it takes is how much time that we'll take.
Yeah. All right, William, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. And like I say, you and Stephen Hill, Keith Crabtree are generals in the field of cryptid research, and we're looking forward to part two. So for myself, Daniel Becker in Anchorage, Alaska, for my fellow host, Matt Slater in Quincy, Washington.
And thanks to our veterans who've given everything they have so we can do what we do right here. Thank you to them as well.
Amen to that. Guys, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, folks.